Hello ladies, welcome to your 10:15 stretch class. I hope that you are in a quiet Zen area. I hope that you have a mat and a chair nearby, as well as a piece of clothing that can keep you warm in case you get cold. But let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start with just a very gentle round movement. And when I say gentle, I really mean nice, soft, and low impact. We're starting with a little bit of movement because we want to get our core temperature up, get ourselves a little bit warm. Muscles are much like taffy. Stretch much easier when the temperature is higher. We're going to begin with a little bit of a dynamic stretch for the chest and the arms. So we're swinging the arms open and then across the body, giving ourselves a big hug. We should feel the chest open and then the shoulders, chest and shoulders. Beautiful. So just a little bit about how this class is going to go. This class is 45 minutes of you time. We're going to be engaging breath and mostly moving in and out of gentle static stretches. We're going to start with standing and upper body stretch, followed by seated series, and then down into a mat series. Beautiful. And we got 3, 2, 1. Good. We're going to go ahead and open those arms up to the letter T. Up by the ears, we're going to drop your right hand down behind the head. The other one is going to grab the tip of the elbow. I'm going to back up just a little bit here so you can see me a little easier. And we're going into our first stretch, the tricep. Those fingertips are walking down the spine. And we should feel the stretch all the way down the back of that arm into the armpit. Now we do want to utilize the breath here. Big breath in. And exhale, see if you can walk those fingertips just a little bit farther down. Good, one more breath. And exhale. Beautiful. Now you're going to take that right foot, same side as the hand that you're stretching. You're going to step back into a curtsy pose. And then very gently arch your rib cage. We're getting a big stretch all along the oblique. Good. Beautiful. Deep breath in. And exhale as you come back to standing, full extension of both arms all the way up, and we're going to switch right on over to the other side. Left hand down behind the back, fingertips trying to crawl down our spine. We've got a hold of the tip of that elbow, and breathe. Now, many times when people do an overhead stretch like this, they tend to arch the back. We want to make sure that we have a little bit of engagement through the core and through the glutes. Good. One more deep breath in. And exhale as we step back into that semi-curtsy pose and send the ribcage over. Stretching all the way down the sides of those obliques. Beautiful. Big breath in. And exhale as you come all the way back up to standing. Both hands reach all the way up. Then those palms are going to flip so that you can clasp your hands behind you. Keeping the palms open, you're going to roll your shoulders back and down and then straighten out. There we go. I can't quite see the screen from where I'm working, so sometimes. Good. Beautiful. So We've got a clasped hand, we've got the shoulders rolling back and down, we've got an open chest. Beautiful. Big breath in. And exhale, you're going to very gently soften the elbows before you let the hands go. Give me 3 gorgeous shoulder rolls backwards. 2 and 3, followed by 3 shoulder rolls forwards. 1, 2, and 3. Very good. And then we're going to open those arms out one more time to a T. This time, you're going to take your right hand, bring it across the chest with the palm facing up. The left hand is going to grasp between the elbow and the wrist. You're grabbing that forearm, and you're going to pull that arm in toward the chest. This is a deltoid stretch, stretching out the cap of that shoulder. Very good. And here we do want to try to drop that shoulder as much as possible away from the ears. I do like to spend some time on the upper body. These are smaller muscles. Smaller muscle groups, so they do get a little bit neglected from time to time, but it's important to work on those upper body muscles as well. Good, big breath in, and exhale, you're gonna let that arm go, arms to your sides, and clasp your hands in the front of the body. We're gonna do an upper back stretch before we move on. Opening up the wrists, you can see I'm making kind of a 90-degree angle. I'm going to roll the insides of my elbows up toward the ceiling, getting that outward rotation of the shoulders, rounding the back very gently, chin forward and chin down. This is an upper trapezius stretch. You should feel it all along the backs of your shoulders right here. Now, different people are going to feel things in a different way. This is true of any stretch. So if you like, you can try lifting your hands, seeing if that helps. Or you can try dropping your hands. See where you feel the stretch more. And breathe. Very good. Hold this stretch for just a moment more, ladies. Just working my attention now. Keep that breath going. Big breath in. And exhale, drop the arms, soften the elbows, release the hands, and roll those shoulders back. Very good. Arms out to a T one more time. This time the left hand across the body. Right hand rests between the elbow and the wrist. Forearm, hug that arm into the body, into that deltoid stretch. Once again, we should feel it along the cap of the shoulder. And much like that upper trapezius stretch that we just did, people are going to feel it in different ways. So you can try keeping a softer elbow and hugging it in a little tighter. You can try raising the arm a little bit or dropping. But we do want to keep a long neck. Very good. Beautiful. Big breath in. And you'll notice I have my chair nearby, and the back of the chair is facing me. One more deep breath. And exhale, you're going to let that arm drop, and we're going to come to the backs of our chairs, placing our hands right on top. Now, if you have a little bit of a lower chair, that's okay. We're going to be doing a chest and a shoulder stretch. Stepping back just a little bit, you want to keep your knees soft for this one, so please do not lock your knees. Inhale and exhale as you send your tailbone back, and you may need to adjust, like I'm like, oh, I need to step back a little bit here. And you're essentially trying to send your chest down toward the floor. And what we're looking for here is the upper arms start to approach the ears, or even just behind the ears. And we're increasing our rotator cuff range of motion. This is the range of motion, keep stretching ladies, but I'm going to talk at you for a second. This is the range of motion that we look for when people do an overhead shoulder press. A lot of times we have a limited range of motion in the shoulders, so people try to do an overhead press, they can only get to about here, which can be tough on the joint. Ideally, we want any overhead work to stay stacked right on top of that shoulder. Increasing the range of motion here is going to get us there. Beautiful. Now you're gonna hold this stretch, hands on the back of the chair. Notice I said soft knees before. Here, very gently, and I want you to pay attention to your lower back. You're gonna inhale. And as you exhale, you're gonna very gently straighten out the knees. Inhale, soften the knees. And exhale, straighten the knees out. Now, if straightening out the knees feels tough on your lower back, you don't need to do this bit. You can just keep stretching your chest and shoulders. Inhale, soften. Exhale, straighten. You should start to feel a stretch along your hamstrings, back of the leg, back of the thigh. One more time, inhale, soften. And exhale, straighten. Very good. Now, if you have a very healthy lower back, you can move your hands to your shins, going into a forward fold. If you're flexible and you have a very healthy back, you can start to walk your hands down toward your feet, toward the floor. If you are not flexible / your lower back feels very tender, please just keep your hands on the back of the chair and keep stretching out your chest and shoulders. We're not going to spend too long here. We are going to hit the hamstrings again. So let's take a deep breath in. And no matter where you are, hands on the floor or hands on the chair, you're going to soften your knees even more. Release your hands. Give me a little knee bend, and you're going to let your torso fold over your thighs. Now notice I do have a fairly significant bend in my knees here. My rib cage is resting on my thighs. Inhale deep, you should feel your lower back expand. And exhale, you drive through the heels and come all the way up to standing. Very, very good. We're gonna do one more stretch here with a little bit of an assist from the back of the chair. Let's do a standing hip flexor stretch. Now we are gonna hit the hip flexors twice today, one standing and one kneeling. You're gonna stand fairly close to the chair, close enough that you can rest your hands on the back, or if you have like a wall or a counter, basically anything that'll help keep you from falling over. You're gonna stand fairly close so that your elbows are relaxed at your sides, and you're gonna take a big step back, making the letter A. Both toes are pointing in the exact same direction. A lot of times we see a little bit of a rollout with that back foot. And you're gonna stand nice and tall with your torso stacked right on top of your hips. A lot of times with this one, I see people hinge forward. I want that spine to be directly on top of those hips here. Now I want you to imagine 2 flashlights on your hips. Both flashlights should be pointing in the exact same direction, so no rotation here. Belly button is in. Now, I want you to imagine, what imagination here? Instead of flashlights, now you have a string attached to your pubic bone, and that string is being gently pulled forward. You're gonna feel your front knee soften just a little bit, and you're sending your hips forward in space. And where we wanna feel this is right in the front of the hip. For me, the hip on my left leg is back. Core is nice and tight. Hands are gonna be placed right on top of your booty. That's gonna help keep your lower back from arching, which takes you out of the stretch. It helps drive your tailbone down toward the floor. And pull your belly button in and hips come forward. Now, of course, you can play with each and every stretch I give you today. You can make your stance wider. That might help to increase the stretch. You can bend your front knee just a little bit more, or you can keep your knees straighter. Little adjustments, always acceptable. Good. We're gonna do one more deep breath in. And exhale as you bring your hands back to the back of the chair and come back to standing. Now you can stay exactly where you are and switch to the other side, but I'm gonna turn around for ease of viewing so you can actually see what I'm doing here. Foot back, both toes, once again, pointing in the exact same direction. Torso stacked right on top of your hips, belly button is in. No hinging, no arching of the lower back, okay? Get a little bit of a squeeze of that glute. String attached to that pubic bone, someone is pulling that string forward. So you should feel your hips move forward in space, both hips pointing in the same direction. Remember our flashlights, we don't want our flashlights to sway. And we want to feel the front of the hip stretching The hip on the same side as the back leg. You may be able to tell, trying to avoid using right and left here, because I know that Zoom mirrors and doesn't mirror, does all kind of weird stuff, so. Beautiful. Now, if you don't feel this that much, that's okay. We are gonna hit this again, this area. Place my hands on the back of my butt. That helps me keep my lower back from arching. Drives my tailbone down. One more deep breath in. And exhale very gently, always gently coming out of the stretches, hinging forward, bringing both feet together, and we finally get to sit down. Here's the chair. Beautiful. All right. So I'm going to turn my chair at a slight diagonal just so you can see sort of exactly what I'm doing. I'm going to sit all the way back in my chair first. Feet directly underneath my knees, hands on top of my thighs, spine stacked on top of my hips. Now, we don't want to overarch the lower back, nor do we want to slouch against the back of the chair. A little bit of engagement through the core, and I'm going to have you close your eyes. Let's talk about breath. You're going to begin with simple breathing. Just paying attention to the breath as it comes in and falls out. Breath is very important for flexibility and for stretching. And now I'd like you to begin to deepen the breath. Taking a nice deep breath into your belly. And exhale, let your shoulders drop. Many times, especially ladies, we tend to breathe into our chest. I want you to fill your belly like a balloon. If it's helpful, you can place your hand just above or even just below your belly button. And try to deepen your breath so that your hand rises and falls. Keep that breath going for just a few moments. Now we're focusing on the breath here because I want you to continue to breathe deeply throughout this session. Every time you feel something tense up or something feel tight, I want you to breathe into that muscle as if that muscle is your lung. And when you exhale, feel that muscle relax. This is going to be crucial in getting us deeper into our stretches. We're never pushing our stretches deeper than what we're comfortable going. You may feel tight, may feel a little uncomfortable, but there should never be pain and you should never be forcing it. The breath is going to help us fall into a new stretch position. Let's take 3 more deep breaths. Swelling that belly. One more time, inhale deep. And on this last exhale, let your eyes float open and we're going to move our bodies to the fronts of our chairs. So, your butt should be supported by the chair, but we want a little bit of space for movement for your thighs. We're going to begin with our figure 4 seated glute stretches. I'm going to start on my right leg. Bringing that ankle into a figure 4, ankle resting right on top of the knee. The knee is right on top of the ankle and in line with the hip. You're going to place one hand on the ankle, the other hand sweeps up to the inside of the knee. Now, you're not using your shoulder to push down, you're just resting your hand. Big inhale, and exhale, you're going to very gently fold forward. Very good. Now, pretty quickly here, you should feel a stretch on the outside of that hip, right where the hip meets the outside of your torso. When you fold forward, we're again not actively pushing down on that knee, but you should feel a small transference of body weight into the hand, helping that knee drop down toward the floor, opening up that hip and breathing. All the while using that technique, breathing into your belly and exhale. See if you can release. Now, if you get to forward fold to a certain point and you feel confident that you could stretch a little bit deeper, you can take, instead of a hand, take your elbow and place it on the inside of that knee. That's going to give you just a little bit more leverage here without having to actively push. Oh, I am always tight in this stretch. And where I start is rarely where I end. Notice that my knee is already lower than where I began, increasing that range of motion. That's what we're going for. Beautiful. One more deep breath in. And exhale, you're going to keep your forward fold. Tighten your core just a little bit to support your lower back. You're going to take the hand that was on the knee and lace it through your figure four. Find the shin, the supporting shin in front. Other hand's going to come up and around and meet that shin on the front. And breathe. Now here you may notice that that knee starts to pop up a little bit, and that's okay. You don't have to keep driving the knee down. We're moving from the hip into the glute here. If you've ever done a lying glute stretch, you'll recognize this basic position. Now the hands are squeezing the shin just a little bit. Basically all this position is doing is giving you some support so you don't just collapse forward. Everything about this static stretching is about being gradual, no bouncing, no momentum. Good, but what you can do is begin to walk your hands down the shin. And if you feel your breath catch, or if you sing like I just did, you just gotta breathe. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Now I love teaching this sitting series because people sit a lot, and sitting is an opportunity for stretching. One more deep breath in here. And exhale, you're going to gently walk your hands all the way up your shin. Now, you won't quite be able to see because it's just below the screen, but we're going to go into a hamstring stretch on that same leg. Sit up nice and tall. Very gently unhook that leg from a figure four. You're going to straighten it out. Foot is flexed as opposed to pointed. Flexed with the toe pointing up toward the ceiling. Now you have to take my word for it. I'm just going to rest my heel on the floor. The knee remains flat, the toe remains flexed, and I fold forward. If you like, you can put both hands on the supporting knee. And you should pretty quickly feel a wonderful hamstring stretch here. So this is especially good if you weren't able to do the forward fold before. This is a much more supportive hamstring stretch. If you're feeling especially feisty today, you can take that hand and grab that toe and pull it back. Drive your tailbone back, sending your chest forward. You're trying to get your nose or your chin pointing towards your toe. What I don't want is a big old excessive curvature of the spine. Beautiful. See, look at this, a seated hamstring stretch. So when people are like, Nicole, I don't have time to stretch, you're probably seated at some point. You could do these stretches. Gorgeous. We're going to take one more deep breath in. And exhale, you can use your hands on that supporting thigh to come all the way up. Bend that knee, place that foot flat on the floor. You're just going to rock your weight from right to left, pressing one hip into the chair and then the other. Nice and tall. Take one deep breath. Exhale and get ready, because we're going to do that whole thing on the other side. For me, that means I'm switching to my left leg. Left leg is going to hook over the top of the right in a figure four. We want that ankle to be just sort of above the kneecap on that thigh. We want the thigh to be right on top of the ankle and in line with your hip. So basically what I'm saying is don't collapse in or collapse out with this. We want to keep our alignment as much as possible. That hand, for me, my left hand is going to rest on the inside of that left knee. Right hand is on the ankle. Very gentle. Inhale and exhale as you forward fold. And begin to feel you opening through that hip. This sort of little C area right here. Very good. Now you notice I just checked myself. I was slightly out of alignment. So now my kneecap is pointing in the exact same direction as my toes. Very, very good. Now, if for whatever reason your lower back doesn't appreciate these forward folds, that is okay. You can always come up to a tall seated position. The big difference is here, you actually will have to activate through the shoulders and place a little bit of weight on the inside of that knee to achieve the same effect. If your lower back is okay with that forward fold and you're getting to the right point, you can go ahead and transition into that elbow. Oh my God, it's tight. Breathe. Good, sending air directly to the tight area. And relaxing. Very good. Beautiful. One more deep breath here. And exhale, very good. You're going to keep that forward fold. If you're ready, you're going to go ahead and take the pressure off of the inside of that knee, lace it through the figure four and clasp the shin in front. Other hand comes around the bottom of that ankle to meet at the shin. We're going into that glute stretch. So once again, that knee may not stay down. It might pop up a little bit. That's okay. The emphasis here is changing. So you should feel the stretch move. It'll still be a little bit in the hip here, but you should feel it move more into the muscular area that's basically on the chair. I can't quite tap it. It's, it's my butt, and the butt is on the chair. Good, breathe as you begin to, if you can, if it's available to you, walk your hands a little bit farther down the shin and clasp the shin just to give you that extra little bit of support. Again, we don't want to ever collapse into these stretches. We are introducing our body to these stretches. Body, make glute stretch. Gorgeous. I'm going to take one more deep breath in and exhale as we very gently come all the way up. Nice stacked position. Go ahead, unhook that figure four. We go into our hamstring stretch. Now remember, that is a flat knee and a flexed foot with your toe pointed up. A pointed foot shortens the calf. We want that full length. Drop that heel to the floor. Toe stays pointed up. Rest your hands on the supporting thigh and fold forward. Now, a lot of times people will attempt to approximate a range of motion by reaching for the toe and then bending their knee to get there. It sort of defeats the purpose. We want to keep that knee nice and flat. If you can reach that toe, great, but only if you can keep your knee straight. Is it possible to have a soft knee and still feel a hamstring stretch? Sure. But the reason I like deeply encouraging a straight leg is because this gives us the baseline. We know exactly what our range of motion is. With a bent knee, that's hard to keep consistent. It can vary how bent your knee is. Good. Now, if your knees ever get bothered by being super straight, by being, possibly locked out, or if that ever causes any problems, then you can go ahead and soften your knee. Good. Deep breath in And exhale, come all the way up. Then very gently bring that foot back. We're just going to rock our weight from right to left. And it is time to come down to our mats. So, gently and mindfully move your chair if you need to. If you're smart and have your chair and mat situated separately so that you don't have to pick furniture up, that's great. We're going to begin on our hands and knees. Now we've just done a bunch of sort of forward foldy stuff, so we're going to go ahead and go into a nice round cat and cow. Inhale. As you arch your back, you're sending your tailbone up to the ceiling. You're opening up your chest, nose is forward, and exhale. As you round your back, belly button pulled up to the sky, tailbone tucks underneath, and nose is going to the pelvis. Inhale, arch. And exhale, round, like a scared Halloween cat. Inhale, arch. Now I'd like you to go with your breath, which means you're going to go at your own pace a number of times here. Try your best though to lengthen your breath so that it coincides with the movement, and the movement doesn't have to go too fast. A lot of times I'll see people attempting to approximate a cat and cow with their arms. They'll kind of bend their arms down and up. I want you to try to keep your elbows fairly straight so that most of that motion comes from your back. Now, if your spine isn't super flexible, don't push it too far. But we do want a nice, stable arm here. Good. Let's do one more breath at your own pace. And then, once you are complete with this cat and cow, again at your own pace, you're going to sit your hips back and go into child's pose. Now, child's pose is a wonderful resting position, sure, but it's also a stretch. So what I want you to think about, sending your tailbone as far back as you possibly can to the back wall. For some people, that's a little uncomfortable on their knees, but that's okay. Just do what you can do. And then you're going to drop your chest as low as you can, and then you're going to walk your fingertips forward. So you have opposing action. You have tailbone going back, you have fingertips going forward, and we are lengthening the spine and dropping the chest. And then when you breathe, you should be able to feel your rib cage expand. Feel your back rise and fall. If you're working on that low breath, that diaphragmatic breath, it's kind of a mouthful. Beautiful. One more deep breath in. And exhale as you walk your hands back to your knees so that you're sitting up. And then we're going to come to a high kneeling position. I promised that we would hit the hip flexors again, and here we are. We're going to come into a proposal pose. Will you marry me? I'm going to start on my left leg this time for visibility. Now, some people find this position a little wobbly. What I encourage you to do is not kneel in a tightrope position with the heel right in front of the back thigh. Instead, you can bring that foot a little farther out to the side so you have some space between your supports here, and it's a little bit of a wider base of support. Nice and tall, right up on top of those hips. String pulls that pubic bone forward, hands, top of the butt. All the same principles. Now, the reason I'm teaching both is A, everyone can use extra hip flexor stretch these days. Pandemic is back, even, it never went away, but it's crazier than it was before. We're gonna be sitting a lot, so I don't mind teaching it twice, but the main reason is because having pressure on that knee for some people, not so great. So I wanted to give you a standing option as well. Beautiful. Now, here's a progression here. Deep breath in. And if you're ready, you're going to bring that front foot even farther forward. Essentially, you're going to look like you're in a kneeling runner's lunge with that long extended back leg. You can place your elbow on that front thigh, inhale. And now your goal is to drop your hips straight down between the two supports. It's gonna feel a little bit different. And for some people, the previous iteration is gonna be plenty, but if you wanna try. If you're feeling extra feisty today, you can place your hands down on the floor. Oh, that's gonna bring the weight of your torso forward. Now, some people can come all the way down onto their elbows on the floor. I can't, so I'm not gonna demonstrate it, but if it's available to you, you can try it. Gorgeous. Big breath in. And exhale, you're gonna walk your hands back. Or, if you're higher, you're just gonna send your hips back so that we come out of the stretch gently. Place your hands on the floor for support. Both feet down, back into child's pose. Oh, good. Tailbone shoots to the back wall. Fingertips walk all the way forward. Spine is lengthened and chest dropped. And you should feel some of the same stretch in the chest and shoulders that we did when we had our hands on the back of the chair. Oh, beautiful. Big breath in. Exhale, walk your hands back. Whole sequence again. This time my right foot will be forward. But I'm going to turn around for visibility. All right, right leg comes into your kneeling pose. Find something stable, AKA if you're feeling wobbly in a tightrope position, you just bring that leg out to the side. Give yourself a wider base of support. Belly button is in, spine is stacked right on top of the hips. Both hips are pointing in the same direction. There's a string attached to your pubic bone and it being pulled forward. You should feel the front of that hip stretch. Be mindful about the placement of your torso. We don't want a forward hinge here because that shortens that joint, actually doesn't give you the stretch that we want. We want to be nice and tall, stretch that out and lengthen it as much as possible. If you like, you can do a technique I did before, placing your heels of your palm right on the top of your butt. And again, for many people, this is going to be plenty, but if you want to challenge yourself, you're going to take that right foot even farther forward. With care, none of these moves should be super abrupt. You're going to place your elbows right on top of the thigh. And breathe. And then if you feel extra sassy, hands down to the floor. And breathe. Very good. Deep, deep, deep breath in. And exhale, send your hips back very gently, coming out of it. No matter where you are now going to place your hands on the floor. Knees back, hips back, tailbone back, fingertips forward, child's pose. Very good. One more deep breath in. And exhale, come up to your hands and knees, and we're going to very mindfully turn over onto our back. Knees into the chest. Rock your hips from right to left. We're not doing a big sort of rotation in the spine here. We're just getting a little lower back massage. A little pressure transition from one side to the other. We're going to keep our hands on the knees and we're going to let those knees open, nice and wide. Flex your feet. You're going to send the soles of your feet both up to the ceiling. Hands are going to transition to behind the knees. You're basically going to try to hug the knees in towards your shoulders. We should begin to approach a gentle groin and inner thigh stretch. Now, if this is plenty for you, this is where you're going to hang out. But if you need a deeper stretch, you can reach up and grab whatever you can. So for some people, that's going to be ankles. Ideally, though, we're going for the toes. And Those knees are wide. We are really trying to get them open as possible. And you're going to inhale. And as you exhale, you're going to sink your knees into your armpits. This is called happy baby. Wonderful inner hip, inner thigh, and groin stretch. And add a little extra love to it. You're just going to rock back and forth. With this slight curvature of the spine, it essentially exposes all of your muscles to the floor, and then you rock back and forth. You get to massage it all out. It feels so nice. Good. Deep breath in, come to stillness. And on this exhale, you're going to try to relax, add a little bit more downward pressure to your toes or your calves, to the backs of your knees. One more inhale. And on this exhale, one leg at a time, please. You're just going to let go of one foot. Bend that knee. Hook it in. The other. Bend that knee. Hook it in. Bring the knees all the way together. And then one leg at a time, please. One foot to the floor. Other foot to the floor. And we're going to come to a comfortable lying position. Now this can be with your legs extended, if you like. For me, that's not my favorite. I got a big butt, so it makes my back arch up. It's a little uncomfortable for me, so I have to keep my knees bent. But I do like to open my feet up and let my knees fall in so that they're resting against each other. Hands folded across the torso. We're going to begin with some breath. Inhale deep into those hands, and exhale. You're going to let your eyes come closed. We're spending just a few minutes here. Now I'm going to sit up, because otherwise it's a little hard to hear me, but y'all can stay lying on your back. Inhale deep. And exhale, let go of the day behind you. Anything that happened before you came to stretch with me on Zoom today. Inhale deep. And on this exhale, you're going to let go of anything you planned today, anything you anticipate, anything that's coming later on. Inhale deep. And on this exhale, you're just going to let go of the control of your breath, meaning that you're no longer going to plan deep breaths. You're going to let the air fall in and fall out. And with those eyes closed, you're going to pay attention to how your natural breath lives. What part of the body rises and falls with the breath? How deep are the breaths? What's the temperature of the air as it falls in and out? Transition your attention gently to the sounds that surround you. The sound of my voice, music, also anything outside, anything that might be annoying or disturbing. And treat them all the same, giving them each the same weight, the same neutral acceptance. Finally, transition your attention to your body. The weight of your hips and your back on the floor. The warmth of your hands on your thighs or your torso. muscles that surround your eyes and your brow line, and release the tension that lives there. Take these last few seconds to acknowledge that you showed up today. You took this time for yourself. You are exactly where you need to be, doing exactly what you need to be doing. And ladies, that is our stretch workout. Take your time, allow your eyes to float open. Roll your shoulders back and down. Let the life come back into your body. And now hopefully you're all limbered up to take on the rest of this week. Beautiful work. I'm going to very zen and chill. In a very zen and chill way, come up and say hello. I can do that. I'm capable.